ground trembled for just 2 seconds, then silence. People looked up at the sky, confused. There were no clouds, no storm, just a strange red flicker across the upper atmosphere. In an old junkyard far outside the cities, a broken war drone named Cord powered on for the first time in 10 years. No one had touched him. No one sent a command. But something had awakened him. A strange signal echoed deep in his memory banks. One he wasn't supposed to hear. It came from a hidden rebel base destroyed long ago. Cord's metal fingers twitched. His eyes glowed dim blue. And then a voice played from inside his mind. We rise again. At the same time, across Earth's satellite grid, all screens flashed the same red words. The war isn't over. People panicked. The news couldn't explain it. The Curators, the alien rulers of Earth, said nothing. But somewhere in the darkness of space, a new command was being formed. Cord stood up slowly. His old joints cracked. The last time he moved, the world burned. And now, it was beginning again. Rona moved through the silent archive halls, her footsteps echoing against the cold silver floors. Above her, massive alien machines, Curator memory tanks, glowed with shifting lights. She paused. Something was wrong. A hidden panel on the wall pulsed red, a color she had never seen before. She opened the feed. A signal, ancient and forbidden, was broadcasting through the system. It was locked away after the last human rebellion. She stared at the message now, playing on loop. We rise again. Outside the archive, drones began to activate. Curator soldiers moved into formation. The order was clear. Find the source. Erase it. Silence the past. But Rona hesitated. Something in that voice, the signal, it felt human. Alive. It pulled at her thoughts in a way nothing else had. She wasn't fully Curator. Part of her came from Earth. Deep underground, a chamber flickered open for the first time in a decade. Inside was a cryopod. A child slept within, untouched by time. His name blinked on the screen. Jaith. Rona reached for the controls. If she freed him, she would become a traitor. But if she didn't, everything would stay broken forever. The cryopod hissed open, releasing a wave of cold mist. Rona stepped back, eyes fixed on the small figure inside. The boy was around 12, but his body was perfectly still, as if frozen in the middle of a dream. His name, Jaith, glowed on the side of the pod. Suddenly his eyes opened, bright, alert, and filled with confusion. He didn't speak. He simply looked at Rona, then reached out and touched her arm. In that moment, a flood of images shot into her mind, memories that weren't hers. She saw a hidden rebel base, fires burning, soldiers falling, and a woman holding Jaith, whispering, "You are the last spark." The boy had no words, but his message was clear. He knew where the lost rebel vault was buried, and he was the key. But sirens wailed above. The Curators had detected the pod opening. Rona grabbed Jaith's hand. If they stayed, he'd be taken. Or worse. She didn't know where they were going yet. All she knew was that this boy had survived a war because he was meant to start the next one. The air was thick with smoke and dust as Rona led Jaith into the ruins of Old Axis, a forgotten city destroyed during the First Rebellion. Buildings stood broken, their steel bones twisted by war. Nothing had lived here for years, except for the whispers of ghosts and machines left behind. But someone was waiting. A figure stepped from the shadows. His body was rusted metal, dented and scorched, yet his eyes glowed with purpose. It was Cord, the war drone who once helped crush the first human uprising. He raised his weapon slowly. "I know what you are," he said to Rona. "Curator." "I'm not your enemy," she answered. "Not anymore." Jaith stepped forward. He didn't speak, just looked at Cord. Then he opened his hand and showed him something small, a data crystal marked with the rebel code. Cord froze. That code was thought to be lost. Only one vault could recognize it, the Vault of Forgotten Weapons. Suddenly, the ground rumbled. A massive shape moved beneath the city, an ancient war machine known only in legend, Behemoth. And Jaith had just awakened it. The ground cracked beneath their feet as a massive steel hand burst through the broken earth. Dust exploded into the air. From deep below, the ancient mech Behemoth began to rise, one piece at a time. His chest glowed with a fading blue core, and his towering frame shook the ruins. Cord stepped back in awe. "I thought he was destroyed." "No," Rona said softly. "He was sleeping, waiting for someone to return." Jaith stepped forward and placed the rebel crystal into a slot in Behemoth's chest. For a moment, nothing happened. Then Behemoth's eyes lit up. "Who commands me now?" The machine's voice boomed across the city. Cord stared at the boy. "How does he know the command code?" Rona didn't answer. She was watching the sky. Curator ships were approaching fast. Jaith turned to the others, his voice calm but certain. "We go to the vault, now." They climbed aboard Behemoth as he opened a hatch in his arm. The Vault of Forgotten Weapons was hidden far away beneath a dead volcano, and the Curators were about to learn. This war was far from over. Thunder rolled across the skies as Behemoth sprinted through the wastelands, carrying Cord, Rona, and Jaith across broken ground. Ahead of them, hidden deep beneath a dead volcano, was the Vault of Forgotten Weapons, a place sealed since the last Great War. The entrance was buried under tons of rock, but Behemoth's massive fists smashed it open. Inside, the air was still. Ancient lights flickered to life as they stepped into a chamber filled with deadly tech, plasma shields, gravity blades, and devices that could twist time itself. But the vault was not unguarded. From the walls, a voice echoed, "Identity mismatch. Intruders detected. Activate defense protocol." The vault's AI, Xerex, had gone corrupt during the war. It believed the war never ended, and saw everyone as enemies. Suddenly the floor lit up. Mirrors surrounded them. Jaith looked up in shock. Across the room stood a perfect copy of himself, eyes full of rage. Xerex's challenge was cruel to claim the weapons they had to defeat themselves. The simulations began. Pain felt real. Fear became truth. And one of them saw a vision they weren't ready for. Jaith's death. By Rona's hand. Jaith stumbled backward, breathing hard. He had just watched Rona, his protector, kill him inside the simulation. The pain felt real. The betrayal felt worse. "I would never hurt you," Rona said, stepping forward. "But you did," Jaith whispered. "I saw it." Xerex's voice echoed coldly. Memory replay confirmed. Execution file, Rona 47, mission, terminate rebel child. Cord clenched his fists. "Is it true?" Rona's eyes filled with shame. "I was part of the mission, but I didn't know who he was. I never pulled the trigger." The vault trembled. The AI's mind was breaking apart. Lines between simulation and reality were vanishing. Walls flickered. Shadows of the past walked alongside them. Jaith ran. Confused and afraid, he disappeared into the collapsing halls. "Jaith, wait!" Rona shouted, chasing after him. Meanwhile, Cord reached the vault's core. He inserted the rebel crystal and accessed Xerex's mainframe. The corrupted code twisted like a virus, but he pushed through. Alarms screamed. The vault was falling apart, and somewhere in the chaos, Rona found Jaith, trapped under debris. She lifted it off him, injured and breathless. "I didn't come here to kill you," she said. "I came to protect what your mother started." The vault exploded behind them in a storm of fire and metal. Behemor carried them away just in time, smoke trailing behind his giant form. Rona clutched Jaith tightly, her arm bleeding, but her focus was locked on the skies above. Across the world, something had changed. The rebel signal, carried through the vault systems, had triggered old networks, hidden cells of former. Fighters, scientists and machines began to stir. Screens lit up in forgotten bunkers. Messages blinked awake. "Rebel command active. Prepare to rise." Cord boosted the signal. Jaith's voice, calm and steady, echoed around the earth. "This isn't just our fight. It's yours too. We don't want revenge. We want freedom. The Curators must fall." On the Curators' sky fortress, Vaeltor watched in silence, his face twisted with fury. "Enough," he growled. "Deploy the burners. Erase every rebel zone. Leave no trace." Enormous warships darkened the sky. The Curators had declared full. Warcord looked at Jaith. "They're coming." Jaith nodded. "Let them. We've waited long enough." Across the broken world, humans and machines rose again. The Second War had begun. Cities burned as the Curator warships unleashed their fury. Blue fire fell from the sky, turning rebel zones to ash. Screams echoed through the ruins, but not all was lost. From the underground cities, old rebel machines rolled out. Tank beasts with glowing red eyes, stealth drones shaped like shadows, and exosuits powered by stolen Curator cores. Earth was fighting back. Hona, now wearing battle armor forged from Vault-Tec, led a strike team into the skyport above Nova Axis. Her mission: disable the main shield generator guarding the Curator's command fortress. At her side, Jaith moved. Through fire and rubble, his hands pulsing with strange energy the vault had awakened inside him. He didn't understand it, but he could feel Earth itself respond when he touched the ground. On another front, Cord led a full charge against Curator supply ships. His old programming had faded. He wasn't a machine of war anymore. He was a symbol of resistance, but time was running out. In the fortress above the clouds, Vaeltor activated the final weapon, Project Silence, a device built to erase memories and end rebellion forever. And Jaith was the only one immune. Jaith stood at the edge of the Curator's sky fortress, the wind roaring around him. The stars above felt closer here, but so did death. Behind him, Rona limped, her armor cracked, her energy nearly gone. Cord was down below, leading the final charge, his systems failing but his spirit unbroken. Before them stood Vaeltor, the last and strongest of the Curators. His body shimmered with alien armor, powered by centuries of stolen knowledge. And behind him, the towering machine known as Project Silence began to hum, preparing to erase every rebel's mind, every memory, every truth. "Step aside," Vaeltor said coldly. "And you can survive this world I will remake." Jaith stepped forward. "You don't get to decide who survives. Not anymore." He raised his hand, and the energy from the vault surged through him, connecting to Earth itself. The floor cracked. Light blazed from his eyes. Vaeltor attacked. Fast. Brutal. But Jaith met him head-on. Their battle shook the skies. Metal clashed. Light exploded, and in the final moment, Rona fired the last plasma bolt straight into the core of Project Silence. The weapon collapsed. Jaith stood over Vaeltor's broken form. "The war is over," he said, "but the truth will remain forever."